Hello, my fellow MFTs and everyone. Thank you for joining me today. The topic of this video blog is divorce and legal issues. We will start by going over the general process of divorce and then discuss child and custody issues. There are considerations and ethical issues to think about when supporting families with divorce, as well as evaluating and discussing child custody with families. Lastly, I will share some tips for MFTs in the case of getting subpoenaed. First, the process of divorce can be quite an intense procedure for the couple as well as the family. It starts with concerns within the family unit that lead to the couple wanting to be separated. So first is the process of separation. One of the partners usually moves out, but not always. The partners may just be separated, such as there being a change in a routine or a partner coming home late. After separation, the couple may individually or together seek legal advice for the procedure and to petition for divorce. Not only do they seek legal advice, but there may be one partner who can do the process on their own, filing and sending it out to be signed. But that then opens up more issues because the partner may not want to sign, which holds up the divorce proceeding. While the petition is being completed, there are intense feelings and other issues such as financial issues that begin to emerge. As a marriage and family therapist, this is when the process for the family may become extremely difficult. Not only for the family, but as well as for the marriage and family therapist, because the issues they have on the outside come in, and at times can be very difficult to not take sides and to just support rather than give advice and try to help. Which, when you try to help, that may make things worse because they'll come back and say, oh, that didn't work. So it's very important to just support the parent or the couple, support the family through the whole process. If there was great communication between the couple, the divorce may not even have occurred. So the lack of appropriate communication may lead to a struggle in the divorce process, which again is brought into treatment. The spouse may want support, and if there are children, there is a process at this point for child support, as well as child custody, which is talked about in just a minute. They have to figure out where all personal belongings go, such as house, cars, and this is where families begin to struggle between where the kids are going to go, how often the kids are going to be where. And this becomes not just for the parents, but for the children, brings about intense feelings, which will also be discussed. So after the petition is completed and both parties have signed, which in itself can be a struggle, the judge issues the divorce. So within the process of the whole divorce, there are a lot of things that occur, but it's just not the divorce itself. It's how they react to each other. It's how they deal with the issues, the situations, and the fact that they're even coming into therapy, and us as marriage and family therapists have the chance to work with them is positive, which in itself says that there are things that we can do to support and help them through it. So there are two serious concerns when working with families who are in the divorce process, and one is financial. The divorce costs are at times can be severe, at least cost $150. And this is difficult when a parent may not have worked, or if a parent works but doesn't really make that much, or depending on the community that they're brought up in, where they're from. So it can be a big concern, especially if the other party wants child support or spousal support. So again, financial becomes a huge concern. The second concern is the actual custody. For me, I feel like this is a more serious topic than the financial, although the financial can sometimes lead to the struggle between the parents and with the child, and things leading to name calling and affecting the children, the custody becomes a more serious topic. It is so serious at times that, it affects them developmentally, and it stays with them throughout the rest of their lives. They will remember that. And as an MFT, it is my job to help the parents and educate them on this and the development and how it affects the child. It is also important to help the parents think about the children, and also not talking about the parents to each other negatively, not talking about the financial matters in front of the children with the other parent or without the other parent. But giving those financial matters to the children are not appropriate. They are not the ones in charge of that. The other parent is. And when you give that to the children, that puts them first, and they have to choose. And that's not fair for the child. They should love both of their parents. They have to defend the other parent. And at this point, when all of that has to happen, the child can develop such things as depression or anxiety, compulsive disorders, and things like that. It at times leads to something called parental alienation, where the parent continues that behavior and the child doesn't want to go to the other parent's house because the child doesn't want to upset the parent that's talking about the other parent, doesn't want to let them down. And then they start to believe those things that the parent is saying about the other one. So it's very important. Parental alienation not only affects that parent, but it affects the whole entire family and that unit, and then their relationships as they grow up, and their attachments that they have and their own children and how they do things. So it's important, again, to support but educate. If both parents do not seek therapeutic assistance, working with one parent is better than working with none. Because of these issues, therapy can help the parents and help the child to not get caught in triangulation, and not pulling the one parent, which can essentially eliminate the parental alienation and the issues that the child may have as developing. Giving the parents psychoeducation about how to handle the situation, what to say to the children, as well as how the negative comments that they are saying about the other parent affects them. Also, not holding the child from the other parent unless there are some safety issues that may be involved. However, at this point, it is very important that if there are safety issues, that anything has been reported that needs to be reported, which I do open up a little bit down the line again. Some considerations for arrangements of child custody can come from the education that the therapist gives to the parent or couple, teaching the parent, again, effective communication, which is definitely key, supporting the parents through the process, not taking the other parent's side, but listening to feelings and finding solutions, or helping the parent or the couple to finding solutions to the problems. What works for them? How can they compromise? As an MFT, there are so many resources that you can use, such as in the community, especially when it comes to financial situations. For example, in Pennsylvania, the Department of Human Services, a parent struggling financially with custody of the children, whether it be primary or sharing custody between parents, there is the capability of getting financial assistance for housing and food and things like that. If a parent is going to school, there's help for that. So there are resources. Finding groups for the family to go to. There are many different groups for divorced couples and how kids may handle it. Seeking churches may also help. Third, listening to the parent about how the child is adjusting. At first, there are feelings and struggles that are normal, such as lack of sleep, mood swings, nausea, upset stomach, etc. This is a change for everyone, and it is difficult, and there are concerns. But if the concerns continue to grow or don't go away, then maybe there needs to be other treatment options, maybe for the child, or even if the parent is struggling, referring the parent out to different services as well. So again, there are different ways to be able to assist them and help them through the process. There are ethical issues as well to think about. 3 different ethical issues: confidentiality, the duty to protect, and the reporting, the mandated reporting, which is very important if there is something that you do report, what you do find, but you also have to think about whether or not the parents are saying things to hurt each other, or if those things are true, because pulling them parents back and forth like that can cause problems with the children too, which again brings us to the duty to protect, and the confidentiality. If there are 2 parents, most likely the consent to treat for the child, if the child is the client, both parents have to sign off for that treatment. I know myself as a therapist, when a child comes in, when a client comes in, I always have both parents sign. Sometimes there's the caseworkers and then there's a parent. And I have the caseworker and the parent sign. If there's 2 parents, I have both parents sign, as well as the child, because then I know that everybody's on the same page. It keeps things confidential. It keeps people protected, the family and me. So I think that having both parties sign and agreeing to the treatment is definitely important. The duty to protect, again, the reporting, the child abuse, the neglect. You want to make sure that things are not occurring. If a parent left another parent because of that, you want to make sure you're not putting the child back into that situation. Again, that's where the listening and understanding and gathering information becomes a huge part in the process, and that builds the trust with the client that you're working with, whether it be the child or the parent or the couple or the whole family. Gathering that information and just listening to them and learning to understand who they are and what they want, because it's not about what you want as a therapist, it's ultimately about what they want. Make sure you uphold the confidentiality between the parents. Don't go from one parent saying something to the other parent. That's going to make things worse. It brings confidentiality. They don't trust you. It's unethical. It's illegal. So you just have to be careful with that, because parents will call and ask how the session went, and you can tell them, maybe it went well, but if they haven't signed out on the consent anyways, then you can't give them any information. It's also good to make sure you have other consents and releasing of information as well, for things such as schools, other providers. If you get subpoenaed, make sure there is a consent signed for that as well. Parents do have a right to know, especially the other parent. But if one parent subpoenas you, the court subpoenas you through that parent, you do have an obligation to let the other parent know. So again, that brings us to the possibility of being taken to court. Remember, you do not have to show up unless you're subpoenaed. You can always say you are bound by protection. They can, send more paper for you to have to go. But ultimately, make sure you have a consent. Talk to the parents. If you are going to court because of safety issues and harm, you are there as an expert witness. You do not give your opinion. You do not take sides. You give the facts on how the sessions went and how they participated. Meet with attorneys first, consult with your own for your own protection, and make sure you're doing the right thing by the family. Divorce is not easy for the couple and even a struggle for the therapist. Every case is different and unique. You are sometimes called to mediate between the couples. It is okay to refer out for their own treatment. Support and educate the parents and the child. The child is affected by those around them as well as the parents. They obviously were a couple and cared about each other at one point, so trying to bring that up. But remember, as a couple, things were not working out, but that does not mean they cannot effectively move on by themselves. Sometimes people just need support and someone to listen to. They may learn something along the way and take it with them. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.